Happy Sunday and welcome back to Serenity Soul. I'm your host, me, and I have a few topics I want to talk about today, and of course I got music I would like to share as well, and I'm hoping I can get it all done in less than 30 minutes. So, if anyone's out there who's familiar with the Colin Kaepernick situation, I'm going to be talking about that today, as well as there was a article that came out about Ashley Graham, the plus-size supermodel, and some words she shared with the press. I would like to talk about that. And I also want to talk about this this trend of attacks on transgender people. I find it very weird that suddenly we're hearing all these stories about celebrities and transgender individuals, and I just want to address that and share my opinions on that as well. So I don't want to take up too much time talking about what I want to talk about. Let's just get straight to the first topic. I've been doing my best to try to take a different perspective towards the whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and I find myself just really, I'm not shocked, not surprised, but I'm just confused, because here we have a professional league, a professional sport league that has done its best to show the world that it cares and that it gives back to the community, and it also has a tendency of making political statements, or not necessarily political statements, but patriotic statements. And then there's times where we have our breast cancer month and people put on the pink cleats and stuff. So the NFL wants us to believe that they care about social issues. And then we come along and we have players who either get caught smoking weed, or DUIs, or fights with police. There's just so many things. These people are human and they make mistakes, and the league does its best to be openly how do I say this? So I try to find certain words, and sometimes it just doesn't come right. So anyway, the NFL basically tries to tell the public, hey, we'll handle this. We know how we're supposed to be perceived. This is a business. We're going to punish these people or give them the proper treatment they need so they can reintegrate back into society and play football again. And I think a lot of times we see that we are not always on the same page, as with certain individuals getting treated unfairly or receiving certain punishments harsher or less harsher. And I think that a lot of times the NFL gets the bad rep of being not consistent. But one thing they've been very consistent about is if you rape a woman, get accused of assault, get DUI, any of those things, you can play in the NFL again. But along comes Colin Kaepernick, and he decides he wants to use his role in the NFL, his status in the NFL, to, no pun intended, stand up for police brutality and just people's rights. And it's never unheard of. There have been many people in the NFL who've made statements, during interviews or what have you, even if it meant getting fined. They would make statements to speak out against whatever cause that they believed in or something they disagreed with. And then Colin Kaepernick does something that I think it shocked the world, but it brought about good debate, and that was he sat down during the national anthem. And while some people have this disdainment for him because of what he did, the man has a right. There's no rule that says he has to stand. But he took it upon himself to show a little bit of respect, so that to not draw away from what he was doing. He still wanted to make a silent protest, but he didn't want it to be about the American flag or the national anthem. He wanted it to be about his cause, so he chose to kneel. Now, of course, there are some people out there who still that was not good enough for. The man kneeled during the national anthem. He was supposed to stand, put his hand over his heart or something. That's what you're supposed to do. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. He doesn't have to. That is a custom, that's a courtesy. And the man made it very clear that in this country he felt that there were issues that needed to be addressed, and until those issues were addressed, he would not stand and do such. He didn't say he hated the country. He didn't say he hated the flag. He just simply said he did not feel that it would have been right for him to continue in his situation with the amount of attention. Being a professional sport player, sometimes you are a role model. And he wanted to make a good impression on the youth and on society as a whole, because this is a big business. And we can go about this as business as usual, or we can use our status in this big business to make statements. And that's what he did. And I could spend a little bit of time talking about how I feel about it. I have no problem with Colin Kaepernick standing, kneeling, sitting, whatever he wants to do. The man didn't run in the middle of the field butt naked with some American, rubbing his ass with the American flag. The man didn't stick his middle finger up. He did nothing. He did a silent protest, and some folks had a problem with that. And, folks wanted to take a military edge to it and say he was un-American, you're disrespecting the flag, disrespecting the soldiers. And I think I made a very good statement back in the past that people who serve in the military don't serve towards the flag. They don't protect the flag. We protect America. We protect the freedoms that are allotted to citizens of the America. We fight for the freedom to sit down, stand up, or do what have you. And a lot of times people won't agree with you, but that's the nation we live in. So all that happened, and I don't want that to be the topic of discussion. I have no problem with it. Let's move on. The next following year, Colin Kaepernick's a free agent, and he doesn't have a team. And right now, there's a bunch of people out there saying, okay, all right, this is about him being blackballed because of what he did, and the league is retaliating. And while I agree with that, I also agree with there are a lot of different factors that I think we must take into account here. One, I believe he did draw some attention that a lot of teams are not ready to deal with, but why? Okay, the man not only stood up for what he felt was right, he took a lot of the money that he had and gave back to the community. And this is the same big business. The NFL is the same big business that shows you all these commercials about these players reading with the kids and helping build homes or doing things in the community. And Colin Kaepernick did just that. Not only did he make a stand, a silent protest against police brutality or just social issues, he gave back to the community. So I'm thinking if you're in a position of needing a new quarterback or whatever position Colin Kaepernick plays, I know he's a quarterback, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be about the quarterback. If you want a player on your team that you know is going to exemplify, embody giving back to the community, you can flip this. Just because the man didn't necessarily, just because the man did something that the country or not all of America appreciates, you can definitely bring this guy into your organization. And sure, he might ruffle some feathers, but if you're all about the community, if that community is number one, if the fans are number one, and if you care about the image, you bring him in because yes, he's going to stand up for his rights, but he's also going to spend time in the community. If that's what's important to you, if that's what the NFL and if that's what your team stands for, you would see it that way. Another thing is that if the player himself is good, and in the past, Colin Kaepernick has been good. He led the 49ers to Super Bowl, I believe, or either the Western Division playoffs. I don't have all my facts straight, and I guess I'm lacking on that part. But I know the man made it to the playoffs, deep into the playoffs, so he was there. And the man led his team to what would have been the Super Bowl. And since then, yes, there has been changes. Every year you're either doing some trades or you get rid of your coaches. And he has not played as well, but the man has potential. He has the capabilities. So a lot of people are saying the reason why Colin Kaepernick is not getting chosen by a club is not because of his protests. It's because that, one, he didn't play so well last year, but he refuses to go to a team and be a bench warmer. And put the protests aside, any player out there who knows he's got capabilities, who knows he's got potential, is going to fight to be a starter, who's going to fight for a good paycheck. Because you know what? You're paying me to get hit. You're paying me to push my body. You're paying me to perform. But that still is not good enough for some people. And then there came a time where Colin Kaepernick had certain teams, Baltimore in particular, where they were really interested. And I thought Baltimore would have been a good fit. Baltimore, I have a friend of mine from Baltimore, and I've been to Baltimore, Baltimore is a very diverse city. However, there are a lot of social issues in that city that I thought Colin Kaepernick would have been a great fit for. It could have been easy as the mayor sitting down with Colin Kaepernick and the coaches saying, hey, look, we know you're going to come to our city, and there's going to be some difficulties with the fans about what you did last year. However, we like what you did with the kids. We see potential in you as a player, and we were just wondering, can we make a compromise? I mean, there's got to be a compromise where you get what you want, we get what I want, we signed you. And I thought that was going to be the route that it would take. At least that's the route I think that I would want to see happen. Instead, I heard players such as Ray Lewis coming out and making public speeches, and I hear a couple other players who were throwing slight shade at Colin Kaepernick, saying, well, you know, if you want to play in this league, you got to kind of drop that protest thing. You know, you knew when you made that protest things were going to happen. And I was like, wait a minute here. Not only is this man being crucified because he took a stand for something that was right, that the country still wants to misconstrue or twist into something that it really isn't. Not only did he take that platform that he was on and give back to the community more than we can sometimes say for other players. I mean, the man did it on his own. He didn't do it because the camera was on him. He didn't do it because the league said he had to. The man did it on his own. And despite the fact that this man says, you know what, I am a good player and I deserve to be treated as such. I want to be compensated as such. But I have other players, and I hate to say other African American players, but that's what it is. You have other players who've had issues with the law in the past for crimes that are far more heinous than what Colin Kaepernick has done, who have been forgiven, allowed to play again, and you want to throw shade? I think this whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and then you got players throwing shade, this is just getting ridiculous, okay? It's ridiculous. In today's political climate and everything, we're seeing that this country is divided. But we're also seeing that there's a reason why this country is divided, because we as citizens have failed to do our job to recognize that there are injustices in this country and we don't do anything about it. And this man chose to use his platform, his status, his position in this NFL league to draw light to that. And we attacked him. We turned our backs on him. And we now are blackballing him and putting him in a situation where he can't get picked up because we're too afraid of the stigma that might come around with that. And then we say, well, you know what? For the amount of trouble and controversy you bring to our team, you got the nerve to ask for a lot of money. You got the nerve to ask to be a starter. You should be happy that anybody wants you. That's the way I see the league treating him. And then you got players who have been involved in murders, who have been involved in DUI, who have been involved with drugs, who have been involved with assault. And these people who got second chances for doing something that had nothing to do with doing the right thing. And they're not either saying things in support of Colin Kaepernick, they're not helping him get signed, they're not doing things or pulling strings behind the scenes to get him a home, but they got the nerve to speak out against it. And I think all of that put together makes the Colin Kaepernick situation really, really, really tragic. There's other words I want to use for it, but I think it's just sad because the man was doing the right thing. But America didn't want to see it that way. And then here we are in today's climate, a week after what happened down in Virginia, and we are seeing that there's actually truly some issues in America. And I would have thought to myself, you know what, now that the country's kind of like pulling together, even though we are divided and we're starting to see both sides, we are seeing some unity on those folks who say, you know what, America isn't perfect. We do have some issues. And even after all that, after the corporate companies have pulled out of Trump's consoles and stuff like that, with the atmosphere and the climate we're in right now, I would think this would be the perfect time for America to say, you know what? Colin was right. Let's give him a home. And yet still, it hasn't happened. So I just thought that I would get that off my chest and try to express what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and how I understand it. And I may be off, and that's the reason why I do this, because I think that if I'm off about something, people can send me messages or address me and say, you know what, have you looked at it this way? You know, consider it this way. So I'm looking forward to that feedback, because as I see it right now, Colin Kaepernick drew attention to a problem that we have in this country that we have been trying to ignore or try to deny. And because of that, I think he's getting blackballed. And then when a man who knows his worth, who knows what he can bring to the table, tries to negotiate for a good deal, we're blackballing him for that too, because how dare you sit or kneel during the national anthem and expect me to sign you as a starter or for X amount of dollars. And then third, for the league to have so many African American players, or so many players in general, who've had issues with the law or who have made bad decisions, who were given second chances, where are you guys speaking up? Okay? And one last thing, shouts out to all the players. Marshawn Lynch, who really doesn't give a fuck. Some say that because he's a performer, but you know what? I can only allow that excuse, or I can only allow that reasoning to go so far that the man has a lot of potential, but he walked away from the game, came back, and he's sitting. He hasn't shown anything yet. People are still saying, well, you know, these last couple of years, you know, he was the shit. He was, you know, the number one running back in the game. But he went away and he came back and he's sitting and no one's saying a thing. Colin Kaepernick took his team to the playoffs, deep into the playoffs. And we're still holding it over his head about this whole sitting down thing. So there are some hypocritical perspectives out there, and I thought that maybe I would just bring that up and draw that out and hear what other people have to say about that situation. So let me know what you think, and let's get to the next topic. So Ashley Graham, who, if anyone doesn't know, is a plus size model, which she doesn't look plus size to me. I think plus size, I think America has they've kind of misconstrued that. However, whatever America, the industry has declared as being plus size, Ashley Graham fits that description. Nevertheless, she's a very attractive woman. Curvy, I find her very attractive. She's white. She's been very popular here as of the last year, maybe a little longer. I just started noticing her last year. And I was like, okay, you know, this woman, she's thick. You know, I wouldn't call her plus size. She's thick, but she's very fairly attractive, and good for her that she's out here representing and showing the industry that thicker women are beautiful as well. And there was an article that came out within the last 2 weeks where I shared it, and she was addressing that she was excited about her career, but she also believed that her career was due to white privilege. And I was like, oh, okay, you got my attention here. Not only are you beautiful, but you're talking about something that I'm interested in. So she expressed that she knew that her being white was the reason why she was getting so much publicity or so much exposure. And she went so far to say that there were other models out there who were just as beautiful as she is, who are not getting the same type of exposure. And she went to list those models by name. And she listed women who were not white. They were black, Hispanic, Muslim. She went out of her way to name them in this article. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty fucking awesome, because here it is. This woman doesn't have to. No one's asking her to make a stand. This woman does it on her own. It should not matter, but it probably does matter that she's married or dating a black man. So that alone probably means that in her mentality as dating someone, she's been able to have a conversation with this man, and they've been able to go back and forth, and she probably said, you know what, I'm gonna make a statement. And they probably talked about it, and she made the statement, and good for them, you know. I've talked about this several times before. I actually just wrote a sociology paper about interracial relationships and whether or not they can work, and whether or not it's necessary to date people of your own race to be influential. And in this position, here we are, we have an interracial couple who could easily just say, you know what, my wife, she's a model, she's getting exposure, let's just ride this wave out. And between the two of them, I believe that's what being in a relationship is about. They probably came to the conclusion, hey babe, I'm thinking about making a statement, or I realized I'm getting this attention because of the color of my skin, and I know we talk all the time about race relations, and I think I'm going to make a statement. Okay babe, you go ahead. You know what, I think you're in a perfect position, and I think it would catch people totally off guard if you were to make a statement like that, and I fully support you. I think that's how the conversation probably went. So again, Ashley Graham goes out, she makes these statements, she names these names, she puts it out there, and I'm like, I like Ashley Graham. This woman is doing a good thing. Congrats to her boyfriend, her husband, and so forth. So I shared the article, and I sat back and waited, because I've also talked about this thing that we do. It's not a young people thing. It's not an old people thing. It's not it's a people thing that in this world of constantly moving around, we don't take the time to actually read. And the things that we do read aren't always necessarily food for our brains. Now, I'm not here to tell anybody or judge anybody and say, hey, if you read comics that you're not doing justice for your brain, or if you read love novels or sex novels, you're not doing what's right for your brain. I am saying that I'm the type of person that reads everything. I read about sex. I do read comics. I read about love. I read about motivation. I read about politics. I read a lot of things. And I also share a lot of things online. And while online can be a totally different environment than actually picking up a book, for me, being online and sharing things, yes, it's a lot easier to get access to things, and it's not as long as a novel, but I still like to read certain articles just to have a better understanding of topics, or see a different perspective, and feed my brain so that I too can develop new thoughts and new opinions. So when I put this out there, two things in my mind is going on. One, the fact that she's admitting that her white privilege has been to her advantage is going to draw people in. Maybe, just maybe, somebody's going to click the article, read it, like, this woman's kind of cool. She's actually speaking up. And again, in today's climate, it's nice to know that there are people not of color who are speaking up against the injustices in our society. So I thought, those who follow my page know how I am about race relations, know that I don't stray away from certain topics, would read this and develop an opinion and share it. And then I considered there are going to be some people who just read the bold face, or just read the cover story and then say something ignorant, or just develop in their own mind opinion about what this article is about, and then share a comment, and then I would have to be like, what, did you read the article? Because if you read the article, you would realize she's actually gone out of her way to not defend white privilege, but to expose it. And it happened. And I usually do it for that reason, because I put something out there, someone reads something that they don't know nothing about, or they have a preconceived notion about, and they read it and it triggers a knee-jerk reaction, and they put it on my page. And I'm just like, here it goes again. But I do it intentionally because I love to see it happen. But I'm also hoping that I can respond and say, hey, read the article, because if you read the article and take some time, you'll see that there's a reason why I put this out there. Yes, I use a little bit of shock promotion, and yes, I do put stuff out there that is supposed to trigger a reaction, but I also want people to read. I really want people to read because there are so many things out there, not just because I get a chance to get a different perspective and help my mind grow, but I think that we are spending so much time gathering all these quick knowledge bites. We all want instant access to information, and we don't take the time to really absorb information if it requires us to slow down. And that's why I love what I do, because I have to read some of this stuff, and I have to basically understand what I'm reading before I put it out there, so I know when I get a response how I should respond. So anyway, when someone did respond, there was a conversation that lasted, I think, about a day. Two people were going back and forth, and I'm assuming one was white, one was black. I didn't want to get too far into their business, but I just sat back and watched the conversation. And I believe the white individual was trying to understand or trying to express that they thought it was wrong for her to use her white privilege to further her career. And the other person was like, no. I guess the other person had read the article, and the initial reaction of the first person was because they just read the keywords, and that was that. So the other person's like, no. She's not saying that she is for white privilege. She's actually exposing it. So they went back and forth, and this person just couldn't get it. It was just like they just couldn't grasp it. And I wanted to just interject in the conversation, like, read the fucking article. If you read the article, you guys would be having a totally different conversation. But the article went on and on, and finally, I believe the black individual told the white individual, "You just don't get it. Let's just end it right here, and let's go. Let's go on with our lives." And I was like, that was cool. They did have a conversation. It didn't get heated. Nobody got disrespected. And in the end, one individual said, "You just don't get it, and I don't want to keep having this conversation. Let's just move on." And I thought that was pretty cool that they had a peaceful argument there. But again, two things I want to take away from this, and two things I want some feedback on is, one, Ashley Graham did not have to say anything. She could just ride that wave of entitlement and not say a word about anything else. But she did go out of her way to name models, to name other models who she believed were beautiful and who deserved just as much exposure as she's getting. And then I also want to hear some feedback on, what is the issue with people taking their time to read? I know we have lives. I know we're all working and we're doing things, and maybe my career allows me a little bit more free time, or maybe I just don't have a life and I have plenty of free time. But I just want to let you know, not to get in my business, but I work, I go to school, I'm in the gym, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to have a life, and so I somehow make time to read from time to time just because I love reading. So I want people to understand that what I do, there's a method to my madness here. I don't just share articles to get a knee-jerk reaction. I do, but I don't. I do it because I want to be able to respond to someone who says, something off the cuff and they're wrong. I'm gonna say, why don't you just read the article, and all your questions will be answered, and then the opinion you gave may change. And then another thing is, I want people to also understand, I'm not just this guy who's out here just making everything about race. I'm making everything about race negative. There are things I share on my page that will rub you the wrong way. There are things on my page that will get you to think, and there are things on my page to say, you know what, there is hope, because there are people out there who are willing to do the right thing, say the right thing, and make society better. So please feel free to offer me some opinions, some feedback on this topic, and if you're still around hanging on if you're still around and still following my page, read an article. If there's something you don't understand, if the initial response after just glancing over the article is something that's going to cause you to make a knee-jerk reaction, you can still make that knee-jerk reaction. Just understand that my response to you is going to be like, did you read the article? And please understand, I share these articles for reasons. So those people who've been around for years, the 6 years I've been doing this, know that I do have some good character traits, and I do sometimes have good intentions. So anyway, let's get to the next topic. Whoa. So last but not least, I think this is going to be a topic that I'm not really comfortable talking about, but I got an opinion. I don't know my facts. I'm going to say things that I am not the most knowledgeable on. So again, I'm looking for feedback. However, this conversation is going to make other people uncomfortable, and I may lose a couple of followers, but I don't give a fuck, because I think that a lot of times talking about things such as race, sex, love, it creates bridges, and we all learn something from it. So there's this transgender agenda, or this trend of these transgender situations that are happening amongst celebrities, and it's just happening at a rapid rate. And while I'm not necessarily concerned about the celebrities, I'm concerned about the responses and just watching things unfold. So let me just back up for a second. On more than one occasion, celebrities have been caught or exposed as having relationships with transgender individuals. I don't necessarily know the right politically correct way of addressing transgender individuals. I don't want to use any slang terms because they might be derogatory. I just want to say they are humans, they are individuals, they are people. So these celebrities are having relationships or being involved or are caught or exposed in some type of situation with a transgender person, and sometimes they end with just an interview that's some guy gets on some New York radio station. He's like, well, had I known that girl was once a guy, I would have whooped that ass. And then you got people out here who are beating and killing people because it has been revealed after they've had sex or during an intimate moment that the person that they're involved with used to be a man. And I understand that a lot of people would feel like, you know what, I don't want to be deceived. I don't even like it when women lie to me, and now I got to worry about women who used to be men lying to me. And I was just like, well, from my dating experience, one, I've never been on a dating website where I was approached or in a situation where I was exposed or introduced to a transgender person and them lie to me. Most of the profiles I see on Tinder or Match, if there's a transgender person there, they let you know I'm transgender. They don't hide it. I'm not saying they're all like that, but from my experience, when you're looking at profiles, a person tells you, hey, I'm gay, hey, I'm bi, hey, I'm transgender, because it's hard enough nowadays to be a person with a I don't know what the word I want to use, but I'm going to use it, and I hope I don't offend, an alternate lifestyle. I use that because it's alternate. It's not what we're accustomed to. It's nothing wrong with it. You're not a mutant. You're special because you've chosen to be brave enough to embrace the lifestyle that fits you. So no one goes out in the world knowing that if I say I'm gay, people are going to judge me. People are going to crucify me or discriminate against me or potentially assault me. No one makes these decisions and publicly admits these things knowing that they will be treated differently without being brave. And I don't think any transgender person is going to intentionally lie to you, knowing darn well that if you find out, you're going to be insulted, you might react in a very violent way. So these people, I want to believe they're honest because they don't need that extra bullshit in their life. I don't want to tell a man that I'm a woman and then it reveal to him later on, because the truth will come out. And then now he's going to be hurt, possibly beat me, possibly, there's just so many bad things that can come from lying, especially in this situation. So I don't think there are transgender people going out here just lying about it. I believe that they're very upfront about it, which leads me to believe that how is it that all these people are being fooled? Okay, now once upon a time, this is going to kind of go off topic, but hear me out here. Once upon a time, there was a trend of all these. It's actually still happening. Let me not kid myself. Remember, men and women, when the biggest fear in the world that you had to worry about was dating someone who might have been underage, and we, as a society, started learning ways of verifying the age of the people we were dating. You know, guys would say, let me see some identification. Because, you know, there are 18 over clubs, or, you know, there are such things as fake IDs. So I think men and women, we've all kind of been exposed to this issue of dating someone young. And over the years, different factors have been added to dating. You know, you date somebody who might be married, you date somebody who might have a child. And people lie about things like that, but I think that as time goes on, we find out the truth will get you a lot further. And if you're ever in a relationship where you feel like something's not right, you know, your instincts tell you something's not right, chances are things are not right. But I don't think that applies to transgender people, because I don't think that lying about being married or lying about your age equates to lying about your sexual orientation or your body makeup. So I don't think there's just people out there freaking lying to these celebrities or lying to these men or these women to get them in bed, and then after they get in an intimate situation say, guess what? Ta-da, I used to be a man, or ta-da, I used to be a woman. I don't think that's the case. So when I hear these celebrities out here talking about, you know, had I known in the beginning, you know, I would have whooped their ass, or, you know, people out here killing or assaulting people because they were lied to, I don't think they're being lied to. These people got caught. Okay? There are a lot of sick people out there, and I'm not saying you have to be sick to mess with transgender people, but I'm saying there are a lot of people out there who have different turn-ons. Some people are turned on to furniture, and I would use the word sick, but that's not fair, because you know what, that's their thing. I don't get it. Okay? And so there are a lot of different people who have different tastes and different fetishes and different interests and different turn-ons. And some men are turned on by men who dress like women. Some men are turned on by a woman, you know, and even though she used to be a man, she looks good, so he's turned on. And I don't see why we are making such a big deal that if you're attracted to another man, if you're attracted to a woman who used to be a man, if you're attracted to a man who dresses like a woman, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But you're letting society society determine how you're supposed to react when you are exposed or caught. If you're into that type of shit and you get caught on camera, fucking come out. I love this shit. Don't fucking get on TV or the radio and start beating your chest talking about, had I known, this is what I would have did, or you want to kill somebody. Look, dude, I don't think you were lied to. I don't think that anybody pulled the wool over your face and deceived you. I think you knew all the time, but when you got caught or when you were worried about getting caught, your first reaction is violence. And that's sad. Okay? If that's what you into, that's what you into. Don't let fucking society determine how you're supposed to respond when you get approached or questioned. And I think that's the center of this whole transgender epidemic here, is because these men are attracted to these transgender people, and when they are caught on camera or when they get put in a compromising situation, they revert back to this egomaniac male thing that they do, and it's not necessary, you know. And you're hurting a lot of people in the process. Okay, you're protecting your image. Meanwhile, you're giving transgender people this bad rep that they're liars and they're just going around here deceiving us. And now I can't go to a bar and talk to a girl because she might be a man. I don't think it goes that way. I don't think that's the way it is. So, unless other people out there got other, perspectives on that and stuff like that, please let me know. But what I'm trying to convey is that I don't think that this is something that people will lie about. Okay? I don't think this is like lying about your age or lying about being married. I think that transgender people know that there is a very touchy reaction when they come out, and it's best to just tell the truth off the front. That way the guy you messing around with, or the girl you're messing around with, knows and can make that decision. But I could be wrong. I just don't think, and then from my experiences and the things that I've seen, I don't think transgender people try to deceive folks. I think they're very honest, and I think it's the other individual who's caught and who's exposed. He's trying to deceive society because he doesn't want people to know who he truly is or what he truly likes, and he has to revert to violence to deal with it. And I think that's sad. I think that's a problem. I think that's the epidemic. Your fragile ass male ego. Feel free to hit me up, give me some comments, let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys sharing this time with me. I do believe I got it done in about 35 minutes. I hate when I say I just appreciate you guys hanging out. Hopefully you stuck around for the whole episode and you get a different perspective on some of these things, and hopefully you still follow me. And if you don't, I'm sorry. This is just not your platform. This is not the space for you, and that's okay. No harm, no foul. But until next time, until my next vlog, I think I'm gonna do another one in 2 weeks, depending on what's going on in America. But don't hold me to it. When I have enough to talk about, that's when I'll make another video. Anyway, feel free, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Tumblr, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Pandora. Just follow me. I got a lot of things on my mind, different perspectives, and hopefully I'm making a good influence, or hopefully I'm making America a better place by promoting good music, promoting knowledge, promoting different views, so on and so on. So Game of Thrones comes on tonight. I gotta wrap this up because I gotta get myself ready. I'm looking forward to tonight's episode. What else? Oh, I saw Defenders this weekend. I'm rambling now, sorry. I saw all 13 episodes. I think it was 13 episodes. It went by really quick. I watched it all in one day. I saw Defenders this weekend. It was not everything I thought it was going to be. I still believe that Daredevil, the series, was the best of the Netflix Marvel original series. I never did like Jessica Jones. I didn't get into the Iron Fist. Luke Cage was okay. Defenders was definitely a good way of overshadowing how shitty Iron Fist and Jessica Jones was. However, Daredevil is the standout character, and I think the writers knew that. He is the better hero for that series, and if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have finished the whole series. So it was okay. It was not great. It was not spectacular. Daredevil is still better than anything on the Marvel side, and I'm looking forward to the season 3 of Daredevil. Other than that, what else have I done? Yeah, I think that's all I've done recently. Yeah, so let me stop blabbering, let me stop rambling, and just let me end this here. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye. Oops. So quick to get up out of here. Forgot Slept On Sundays. Of course, everybody knows Slept On Sundays. I pick an album that's a little old. I try to go back more than 5 years, but I definitely try to go back and find an album that was pretty big during this time, or maybe it came out to some lukewarm reviews, and to this day I still play it. It's still relevant, or it still sounds just as good as the day it came out. I try to pick something I consider to be classic. For this one, I picked out Eric Roberson, The Appetizer. Eric Roberson has been a real how do I say this? He's one of those artists that has a large section in my music library. I think I have just about all his CDs except for the recent ones he's dropped. So the Appetizer is one of my favorites from him. He has quite a few that I like, but I picked out Appetizer because there was a bunch of songs on there I did like, but more importantly, Marsha Ambrosius is on this album. I believe she's on another album with him, but the song Into You was one of the songs that was playful, but it really showed a lot of his talent as a songwriter. And then he makes his own music, plays his own instruments, I think. I don't know this for sure. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm kind of rushing through this because I kind of ended it quickly without incorporating my Slept on Sundays. Anyway, if you want to support a good artist, go out, support Eric Roberson. If you need an album to start with, try the Appetizer. Marsha Ambrosius on there, Raheem Devine's on there. There's a bunch of good songs on there. I'm sure you'll like this album, and then go out and go buy the rest of his albums. And that should be it. So I'm gonna roll back into my head and make sure I covered everything now before I end this session. Yeah, that should be it. So, Slept on Sundays, Eric Roberson, The Appetizer, Game of Thrones tonight, 7 o'clock. See you there. All right, bye.